living in Israel, to Israel Bonds, for all the important work you're doing, because we are in extremely challenging times, and the money that Israel Bonds is raising for Israel is oxygen for the Jewish state of Israel today. I'm of the opinion that the world pressure is going to get worse, much worse, in many ways, not just diplomatically, but financially, economically, different types of sanctions, etc., etc. So the more money you guys can raise, the faster you can raise it, the better we will be. And again, it's not just about the Jewish state of Israel standing and defending itself, but we are really the front line of the whole freedom-loving world, including the American people, where most leaders and politicians today in the West not only do not understand that, they're working against the interests of their own citizens by not supporting Israel 110% in everything we have to do. So again, thank you to all the work you do, and God bless you, and do the best you can, all right? Delving into the anti-Semitism. The one question I like to ask when I talk to students, whether it's a high school student and especially a college student, how do you explain whatever campus you're on? And I'm a Columbia grad, all right? I went to Columbia for graduate school, went to Baruch, lived in New York when I was in college, went to Baruch for my undergrad, Columbia for graduate school. Whether it's a Columbia, whether Yale, public colleges, doesn't make a difference. Why are you getting attacked on your campus, regardless of your religious level, regardless of your political opinions? Nobody knows. Did anyone ask you what your thoughts are about Israel, about the conflict, about the war? No one knows. They're being attacked for one reason only, because they're a Jew. Swastikas are literal. I mean, it's crazy to be talking about this in 2024. Swastikas being written up on Hillel buildings or Chabad buildings, or Jewish students feeling threatened in their own dorm rooms from their own roommates. And again, these are college students that I've spoken to personally. Like, how do you explain that? And the problem is, they don't have an explanation, because it makes no sense. If your paradigm of anti-Semitism is based on, well, the Jewish people, it's just, we're hated for, I don't know, because we're rich, right? We're the head of the capitalists, right? Or we're hated because we are the head of the socialists, right? Everyone has a reason why we're hated. Why now? And why now with such virulence? And again, as a reaction to the worst massacre that we, the Jewish people, have experienced at the Holocaust. And it comes down to one thing. And it's one thing that, unfortunately, the Jewish world and the official state of Israel has ignored. And again, and forgive me because I pride myself on being politically incorrect, where I believe things have to be said and other people are not in the position or able to say for whatever constraints. But a college student, whether in Yale, Harvard, Columbia, public college, is being attacked, and swastikas are being written on these buildings today because they think they're supporting Palestine. It's not about the Jewish kid's religious affiliation. It's not about his political stance. Someone today who wants to support Palestine and the Palestinian national movement, they are turning that passion, and they're passionate. They've been brainwashed to be passionate. They're turning that passionate feelings of their support for the Palestinian national movement into direct hatred to every Jew. Every Jew. You could be a Jew that has nothing to do with Israel. You've never been to Israel. You never studied in Israel. You don't care about Israel. You teach your kids not to care about Israel. You don't want anything to do with your Jewish identity. You don't go to temple. You don't go to Hillel. Nothing. Your kid will still be attacked for being a Jew in the name of Palestine, which brings the very unfortunate conclusion that I like to try to tell people to get into their heads. The basis of the whole Palestinian national movement is Jew hatred. From the day that cause was created until today. And don't trust me for anything. I tell everyone, don't trust me for anything. Go do your own research. But anyone who wants to do the research, a couple of different data points, and these are data points that our kids need to know, because 99% of adults don't know it, so 99.99% of our youth and collegiates don't know. Anyone goes to the archives of the New York Times, Washington Post, or any other newspaper pre-1948, anytime the word Palestinian was used, who did it reference? Pre-1948? The Jews. There were no Palestinian Arabs before 1948, folks. They were called Arabs. And they were Arabs that came from the whole Ottoman Empire into the Jewish homeland, the land of Israel. There was no people with a historic claim called Palestinians. Was it? You go to the next data point. And again, everyone do your own research. Go Google it. Google the United Nations Partition Plan. There is no call in the United Nations Partition Plan. Right? Go to the whole United Nations document. There's no call for a Palestinian people to have a state called Palestine created for them. None. It's Arabs and an Arab state. No mention of Palestine as the name of a state for people called Palestinians. None. Next data point. Go to the Cold War. Go to the KGB. 1960s. The KGB invented the identity called Palestinians as part of their strategy to destroy Israel and weaken America. This isn't Avi Abelo talking. This is Romanian KGB agent, and I can get you all, again, Google it, it's all out there. It was all a KGB plan. And then next data point, and you gotta ask your kids these questions, or let them start thinking for themselves. Israel was not in charge of Judea and Samaria or Gaza between 1948 and 1967. How come there was no call from anyone in the world? Not from the Arabs in Judea and Samaria, not from the Arabs in Gaza, not from Jordan that was occupying Judea and Samaria, not from Egypt that was occupying Gaza, not from any of the Arab world for the creation of a state called Palestine. That's 19 years. Nobody cared about a non-existing historic people called Palestinians and their non-claim to their own self-determination of a state in a land that belonged to them. It didn't exist. But what does exist? What exists is a campaign that we see today in our kids' schools and college campuses and in our own communities where Jews are not safe in their own communities because people think that they care about a people called Palestinians who are the ones that are the victims, and the victims at the hands of who? Of the hands of the Jews. And I want to, and this is so important for our kids to understand. I'm going to give you the opposite side. There is so much for our kids to be proud of. There's so much. The Jewish people today, again, and I know the college world, it's all about oppressed and oppressor, all this stuff. The most oppressed people in the world for 2,000 plus years are the Jews. Exiled from our country, Israel. Exiled, persecuted, 2,000 years of exile and persecution. And we overcame it all to be the only, and everyone Google this, don't trust me, the only indigenous people in the world to return to our ancestral homeland and have sovereignty in our ancestral homeland once again. We should be the poster child of every single university, classroom, and professor. Because everything they talk about, we achieved. We overcame our oppression. And not only do we not complain about our 2,000 plus years of victimhood, we're focused on building up our own state, and thanks to Israel bonds also, to be a light to the nations, helping the whole world with technology and medical and aid. And we're so punching above our weight because we're smaller than a state of New Jersey. And yet we're accomplishing so much. There is so much for every single Jewish child to be proud of his Jewish identity and being associated with the Jewish state of Israel today, and yet they're not given that information. And here I'll put the last point that's important for our kids to know today. We're blasted every day as apartheid, genocide. We're the racists. And again, do your own research. But I'm almost positive, and I've had Middle East experts check me on this. The Jewish state of Israel today is the only country in the Middle East where a Sunni Muslim, a Shiite Muslim, a female Muslim, a gay Muslim, an atheist-born Muslim can live with freedom and equality together with Jews, Christians, and every single other minority. The only country in the Middle East. And yet we're the ones called apartheid and genocide. Everything our kids hear in the news today is 180 degrees the opposite of the truth. And I'm not going into the politics and solutions. It's not about that. But it's about our kids being provided with the information to know how proud they should be about being a Jew, how proud they should be about the Jewish state of Israel, even though, like every country, we have problems and we have inequalities and we have social tensions, because we're all humans, and every organization that has humans has that. And we're a country like any other country. But they're missing the pride, and they're also missing the understanding, the core of where this Jew hatred is coming from today, which is the growing, and it's growing because it's going to be a tsunami. What we're experiencing today in schools and colleges and in streets, it's just the beginning. It's going to be growing worse and worse. And we have to provide as many people as possible with, yes, the politically incorrect information and tools that will allow them to be proud Jews, and it's not just Jews, it's also non-Jews to have this information, for them to stand proudly and not, I'm going to use Menachem Begin's quote, we can no longer be the weak Jew with trembling knees. And we have to help our kids know what they're up against today.
All right. Thank you, Andy. Thank you for your opinions about that and the facts that you interlaced in there, and we really appreciate your perspective.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.